the unconditional love is for the creator. Right? And I say that because he loved us unconditionally because...
Slow down. Say that again. That was really powerful. It just hit me. One more time.
The unconditional love is for the creator.
Sheesh.
Right? Because he knows.
Right? Because the reason why people don't want to use a resource is because they hate the way it looks now. They'll buy this beautiful dresser from IKEA, but what IKEA does is it gives you the picture of what it looks like, but you have to put it together yourself.
That's good, yeah.
You know? So they sit there, and a lot of people do this. You are a work of art, but you have to put it together yourself.
You have to put it together, yeah.
You know? And what God does is he'll give you an image at times of the finished product. He'll give you the feelings of the finished product, but you still have to put it together yourself.
Welcome back to the Freedom Express. This is your favorite podcast.
Amen. Amen.
We're back with another episode. Life has been lifing lately, and so it's always good whenever we get to sit down with my brother and to have him come and speak to you. So yeah, once again, my name is Espoir.
I'm the co-host. My name is Mado.
And this is Freedom Express.
Welcome.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Man, how are you, brother? How are you?
I am...
First, I like the maroon. The maroon looks really good on you.
I appreciate it. Yeah. I like the outfit. You always have the good colorways.
I never wear one color. I think that's my problem.
No, that's not a problem. That's a vision. No, it's really nice though. It always flows really well.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. And I never wear shoes. I know they can't see it, but
that's okay. Do you think that this style that you choose for yourself, or you choose it for the way that you imagine people would receive it?
No, this is for me.
Okay.
It's me. It's I mean, okay, like I feel like from like high school, almost everybody, I'm not gonna say everybody, used to want to put on the fresh look, right? So like people can be like, "Ooh, he's, so like, you in a sense, and a lot of people in high school, they would dress for others,
right?
But I think there's a point where every single kind of person, maturity was where you get to, just like you find your fit that makes you feel, that kind of just like fit you, that helps you kind of feel good and happy. And so with me, it's always kind of just like playing with different colors. I'm not the most fashionable person, but I just think I'll find something that works for me, One day I'm in something that looks like I'm about to go play golf. The next I'm wearing something like I'm from the 1960s. And so it's like, it's always kind of just like depends on, what you feel on that day. So to me, to answer that question, I think it's always me. I do it for me. Yeah. What about you?
So definitely went through that phase of trying to wear the outfits that people be like, oh yeah, he has the Jordans on, or oh wow, that's a nice sweater, that's a nice fit, because when you're going through those high school phases, the idea of being accepted is very important, because that's your first really impactful taste at community, right? Yeah. You're trying your best to make a name for yourself, be accepted, That's when you're really beginning to notice who the cool kids are, who the ones that who the guys that can make anybody smile, and then who are the guys that they're super shy, they don't, you better know to stay in the class, you don't want to be that person, and you want to be the cool kids, but the cool kids wear the Jordans, and they play basketball, they play football, So for me, I was really trying to step into the cool kid framework. Didn't have that much experience picking my own outfits and stuff, so didn't make my entrance well. But now I realized that it's a progression thing.
Okay,
but
for sure.
I began to realize what it means for me to feel comfortable in my clothes.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
and not have to wear what is trending.
Okay.
You know, because at one point it was like the pants with the scrunchy bottoms. It was a Nike Tex and the sweatsuits and all that. And I went through those phases. But then when I look back at my old Facebook photos, I'm like, what was I thinking? I was like, oh my gosh.
And I'm laughing because I'm the same way. I go back and like there used to be a thing in high school where like people for some reason, I don't know who came up with this thing, decided to just we need to wear 2 socks.
Yeah.
Like basically wearing 4 socks. You double up and they're different. Like there's like 2 different Nike socks. I'm like, whose idea was this?
I was just picturing it.
Like what? You know? But no, it's just one of those things. Just like, okay, yeah, no, we need, and the fact that we haven't deleted those pictures, that is crazy. But I think, I think all that kind of, ties into what, I don't know, I feel like what we're gonna talk about, our topic for today, acceptance. I feel like that's literally what specifically in high school, that's why a lot of middle school and high school, let me say that, even college. Right? Even college, even grown-ups. So I feel like it's because it's something that they learn at a young age of wanting to be accepted into a group, or wanting to be accepted in general into anything. And so I feel like from middle school was to be accepted by certain friends, by certain people, right? Like translated to high school, right? A majority of people wants to feel like, oh, I want to impress this person. I want to be part of the, cool kids, or the, I mean, when we were in high school, I feel like the whole thing of like popular kids and jocks, and, nerds, and that was a real thing. Like, there was an actual thing. There were groups. You would literally see these groups that would so different. Obviously, I feel like now it's different because of, the way kind of just, I guess the way the high school society is now, I feel like it's different. But I feel like the mentally that hasn't changed into still wanting to be accepted. I think just the narrative kind of just like shifted. And so, so then that translates into college. And then you get there and then it's a completely new, different world. And you're just like, okay, what's going on here, right? And then that even translates into maybe it's family issues that you had, and you've always wanted to be accepted by. So it's all like all these things just kind of plays a major role. And so, like what do you see that pattern?
Definitely. What I realize is what you learn from a young age, if you're not careful, and who can be careful when you're young, right? You place the approval of yourself and somebody else's vision, right? And they are probably placing the approval of themselves in somebody else's vision. So nobody's being themselves, but everybody's claiming identity, right? Problem with that is, and what I'm noticing is, you have no authority in yourself if you're not yourself, right? Because I can't tell myself how to behave if I don't know that I want to be myself. Because I'm trying to predict what the cool kids want me to do. And then I decide, based on that assumption, what I will do. And because I can't read their mind, I end up being stuck as a pretender, or even worse, as a performer.
Talk about the difference.
Okay. So the way I understand pretending is a role. But the actor knows when the cameras come off, okay, this is me. And the problem is, if you develop community, if you develop an identity with the cameras on, you're always going to realize that when the cameras are off, this is me. But this is the me that I can't present because I'm afraid to present. I think that can lead into a lot of depression. That can lead into a lot of just unfortunate events where people sometimes take their own lives because the weight of that contrast gets to them into a place where they can't dig themselves out of it because they feel like nobody would accept me for me. People can only accept what I perform as. And so that's the pretending side. The performing side is different. It's a little bit worse, in my opinion.
Okay.
Because
the performance.
Yeah, because when you're performing, people are praising you for what you're pretending to be. People are praising you for what you're giving, in a sense, because what you're performing as is your gift, but the gift hasn't impacted you. You know, so you're giving so much, and people are like, yeah, this guy, he's a top guy. He's a top guy. Like, wow, I just love to hear him speak. I love to see how he takes photos. I love to see how he teaches. But you yourself has not benefited from your gift because you only perform your gift. You don't surrender to it. You don't allow it to embody you. You know,
why would be a step that can get to somebody who is a performer to before they perform? Like, how can they first? You know, it's the whole thing of of a life vest, right? Like, how can they wear it first? How can they feed themselves before they, or should they feed themselves first before they perform?
Okay.
Because I think there is a thing.
Yeah.
I don't know who said that. Somebody said that the gift is never yours. It's for the other person, and so it's like, which is why you have, for example, like in churches, right? You have pastors who will go and preach an incredible word, right? You have teachers, motivation speakers who will go and motivate the heck out of people.
Yeah.
But they're the most like shadiest, weird, creepy people, right? Same thing though, there might be a pastor who's like doing something completely unholy on the side, but because he has this gift of, like speaking and motivating and preaching to people, he can still go on and preach, and then some people still be, feel something. And so it's like, to me, that's always been interesting. And so it's like, but when does it become important for you to, like, I guess, teach it to yourself, having that conversation with yourself?
So that's the dilemma of the performer, right? He doesn't realize that he too needs to benefit from the gift that God has given him. Not monetarily, but I think in a way that it feeds his soul.
Yeah, okay.
Because in a way, we're all mediocre, right? Even the greatest man has mediocre sides. Darius Daniels says, a pastor, I believe he's in Atlanta, success rarely touches everybody's life in every domain, right? So there's a way and there's a place in your life that you're not successful. But if you focus your lens on only the fact that you can perform well, and you don't look at the sides that need the help of the gift, the motivational speaker needs to be motivated maybe in the realm of maybe ego.
Okay.
Like, he needs to be motivated to be more humble. He needs to be motivated to realize that, okay, I'm not as complete. I'm not as perfect. Just because I get accolades doesn't mean that I don't have things to work on, right? So he needs to be motivated to realize that, hey, you're still a human, but that's okay. Yeah. But you still need to work on this, right? But because he gives all his attention to the fact that he gets accolades, that's why he gets shady, right? Because what you ignore doesn't disappear, and it becomes compounded because it's in the shadows,
When does that person who is, obviously to me that sounds like somebody who is still wanting to be accepted somehow, wanting to belong, to feel like they belong. Why do you think that matters so much to people, to feel like, to be accepted into anything, right? Is because to me, I guess the thing that comes to mind, which I was speaking earlier, it's like, feel like a lot of people tend to want to be accepted, right? But never truly know what rejected them. You know?
Yeah.
It's like when you know what rejected you, right? Then you can feel like know where you want to be accepted at. Right? So it's like if you know, so in the sense of like, do you feel like people kind of just crave or want to be accepted by what they actually need, or what they actually, or what they think that they want that's going to fulfill them?
That's a loaded question.
Yeah.
That's a really good question.
Because in the sense of like, I don't know, like by somebody trying to feel like, it always comes to maybe something that happened in their life, right? Maybe some sort of like issue that happened in their life, some sort of like, situation that happened in their life for them to, but I feel like they always focus, or we always focus on one, thing. We never see the full picture.
Yeah.
It's like you want to be accepted, but you didn't really take time to kind of decipher, this thing that rejected you, this thing really rejected you. Did you run from it? Right? Did you not accept it? Right? Because it didn't fit a certain criteria that maybe you were hoping, right? I think it's when, for a lot of people, when things get hard, they run, go to the next thing, right? It's like, what would it, we always say the thing, what would it look like? What would it look like if you stayed? Go through that. And so do you feel like, I guess let me kind of revise my question. Do you feel like most people who have ran and tried to be, or most people who want to be accepted, do you feel like somewhat are people who are truly running from, let's say, their calling, their gift, their actually what they were meant to be doing, or?
Okay. Let me think about this. So when I thought about how the idea of wanting to be accepted, right? You can't survive without acceptance.
Okay.
A baby cannot survive without acceptance. The fact that we got here is because somebody accepted us into like a family, And so then just growing up and nurturing, there's a degree of acceptance that needs to be there, And then going into becoming kindergarten, your teacher has to accept you, to like not alienate you, to teach you. So these people dynamics we learn at a young age, right? But also we begin to notice how nuanced we are as an individual. And a problem that I see existing is the fact that why you're accepted matters. Are you accepted because you're espoir? Or are you accepted because espoir has nice style? Espoir has connections, Because people can tell these things. And this is when they begin to perform. Because if they can tell, like, people only like me because I have, then what I have is all that I am.
Okay.
And because that's the case, then I decide that that's all I'm going to present.
Do you feel like people like other people for who they are or for what they perform to be? Or do you, I think that could go either way.
It can.
It can. Or do you feel like, because there's some people who perform.
Yeah.
Right. They perform a character that they're not. And so, and obviously the audience, they enjoy performing. They enjoy the play. They enjoy the music. They enjoy this performance. And so because of what you're portraying, you're bringing, right, they fall in love with that person. And it's not necessarily, they didn't do anything wrong. Right. But it's like, I can only accept you by what you're showing me you are.
That's a fact.
You know what I mean? So it's like, but I think internally just it hurts the performer.
Yeah.
Like wherever once they go home or whatever they go, it's always like someone's getting caught in a loop, right? Someone's getting caught in a loop of like every single day you're always working on set. It's like an actor who never leaves the set, right? They're always in that character, right? But actually who they are, right? Like, for example, like let's say Peter Parker, right? Let's say like Tom Holland is always Peter Parker, Spider-Man. It's like just call it, even if he's outside, he's Spider-Man. So he never truly get to be Tom Holland,
right?
So like when does he get to be Tom Holland? I know I'm just using him as an example.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you think, because a lot of people don't want to stop performing because they don't believe in unconditional love.
Okay.
They don't believe that if I were to stop performing, I would still be accepted, even if I didn't give anything. Do you think unconditional love is a thing?
Unconditional love.
Yeah.
I do. Yes, it is a thing.
Okay.
It is a thing. I think that true unconditional love comes from God.
Okay.
First and foremost. I feel like for a human, unconditional love, I think we get very close to it. I feel like humans, this is just my, I feel like we get so close to unconditional love, but there's always some sort of condition.
Of course.
Even with our parents.
Yeah.
So, and so trying to feel this, unconditional love by a person who will never give that to you, realistically, but we get close. I think that's where the disappointment comes in. And so, but I feel like we do get very close to unconditional love. Because I'm trying to think of the closest thing to, one of the other closest thing to God-like relationship is a good father and a good mother.
Yeah.
If you have a really good mother and a really great father, they will love you. They will show you unconditional love. You will see it. And sometimes it might not be the way you think it is.
Right.
Right. And so I think, but also to answer your question, it's how people tend to understand what unconditional love is. Right. Unconditional love looks like dying sometimes for this.
Yeah.
So it's not always this good feeling. It's like,
define what you mean by dying.
By dying, I'm a Christian, so Jesus showed us unconditional love. He chose to come, right, to die for our sins. Went through the most brutal ways. He got crucified, right? But even the Bible says, "For God so loved the world that He gave His only Son." So it's like, you see what I'm, so it's like somebody loved you so much that they had to sacrifice, right? So unconditional will come with the major sacrifice.
Yeah.
And so it's like when we're looking for unconditional love, put yourself in the shoes of like, yes, you were looking for unconditional love. God sacrificed His Son for you, so you do have it. But if you're looking at it through another person, you're always going to be disappointed.
Can I expand on that?
Yes, go ahead.
Brother, this is so good. In relationship, based on everything you just said, right? More specifically focusing on the fact that God loves, so He gave. In every relationship, including with yourself, there is an unexposed agreement that we give. The problem is people don't give to give. They give to gain. And the issue with that is you falsify your giving once you're giving to gain. If you're in a relationship where you're just giving and the other person gives as well, you're both being fulfilled.
Yes.
But if I'm giving with the idea that I'm giving for you to accept me, I'm performing giving.
That's good.
and I'm pretending to be generous in order so that my bucket now becomes full.
Yes.
So therefore, you don't accept and they don't accept because you're both performing at acceptance. You know? And it's interesting because, again, acceptance, and this is where I land my feet, is something you give to yourself. Unconditional love is something you give to yourself. And that's how you give. I don't perform because I'm a performer. I perform because I love myself. And this is the gift that God has given me so that I can give the world. So I accept myself, I accept my gift. Also, I know that, man, when I get home, I'm not saying this is me, right? But
tell us what you do when you get home.
You know, like I need to go to the gym more. I don't be going to the gym. So I'm not as consistent, right? And I'm afraid, like, oh man, if I start dating and a girl realizes that I'm not so consistent, she's not gonna want to date me, right? So now I'm like, man, I'll never show that side of myself. I'm just this guy that knows how to talk, you know?
Yeah.
But that's a problem because I'm not giving my humanity. I'm just giving what I believe I can give so that I may gain acceptance.
That's good.
You know? So what do you think about the fact that unconditional love is only what you can give to yourself?
It kind of goes back to one of the previous episodes we talked about that ties with identity. Right? It's like, you know, I think there's one of the key thing that we kept initiating was like, you know, who you are is everything you've ever learned and ever experienced. And so depending on what your experience is, you know, depending on how you grew up, how this love was shown to you, right? It's like, you are right. Unconditional love is something that you can give to yourself, right? But whenever you are in tune with your body, mind, and spirit, you can give yourself unconditional love, right? Because the spirit is with you. God is with you. So you can always find that peace. You can always find, you know, literally you have that tapped resource that we don't really, you know, use it as much. But yeah, I was watching this clip on social media. And the clip was, somebody was saying that like there's a lot of people who tend to believe that prayer is it's like they were saying that it's like the way, I don't remember exactly how they phrased it, but they were kind of just saying that people just think that it's a thing where you just tell God and he gives.
Yeah.
So you just like do this and you gain, do this and you gain. And so it's like, but that's not really what it is, right? It's like it's a conversation with God. This is you in the meeting with God.
Yeah.
It's not oh, I need this. You know, he's not a genie who can just give you things. No, it's like a prayer is it's meditational, it's fulfillment, it's, you know, it's you having a conversation with your creator, right? This is the language, in a sense. And so I feel like with unconditional love, if you don't understand, or if you're not in tune, right, with who you are, I think you always going to struggle, right? I'm looking for unconditional love because growing up, maybe you were never shown the way love or this love was shown to you, or you never shown it. You've always seen it through people, through movies, through other things, and you want it, right? But it's really important before you go look for it. Like there's no other place within yourself. Like, what's the? I know we keep quoting the Bible a lot, but it's like I like one of my favorite scriptures is the scripture that says, "Seek first the kingdom, and everything will be added." So it's like everything is already in the kingdom, and if you study your anatomy, you know, you yourself are like an ecosystem of your own. You are a whole system, right? And so it's like, seek first yourself, and everything will be added. I know I'm not trying to, you know, but it's like, seek learn yourself. Just, who are you? Who are you? Where are you from? Where are you going? What's your, like, these are the questions that you should be asking. If you're always taught by society on how to navigate life, society will never gonna teach you who you are. Society will never teach you who you are.
No.
But it's going to show you just all this different information of what they think is best. Oh, me, Espoir, this is what I've done. You, Mado, this is what you've done. If there's a student here, and I go and let's say I'm teaching and I become a professor, and I'm teaching according to my perspective, and they don't take that lesson and apply into their own life, and they're just like, oh, he did this, I'm gonna do this. So I think people are searching for unconditional love because we live in the world of copying. So it's like they've never fully accepted, or they don't know that they have that capacity to truly love themselves.
What's really interesting about what you just said? What I'm realizing is unconditional love is a condition that you're placing on somebody. They have to perform, and they have to give you unconditional love. That's a condition. That's what you're saying, that in order for me to be in a relationship with you, you need to be able to give me unconditional love. Yeah. And the reason why acceptance is important is because everybody has conditions. Even you have conditions on how you want to express love to yourself. Based on, like you said, the ecosystem that lives inside of you. What you learned, what you have developed, what you have experienced informs what love should look like to you. Those are conditions. So until you realize that, you can never truly accept yourself, because the things that would allow you to accept yourself don't belong to you. You don't have any authority to allow yourself to accept yourself, because the authority is in somebody else's hands.
Of course. The unconditional love is for the Creator. Right? And I say that because He loved us unconditionally because...
Slow down. Say that again. That was really powerful. It just hit me. One more time.
The unconditional love is for the Creator.
Sheesh.
Right? Because He knows, right, the full capacity and capability of this individual.
You're too good, man.
Right? So in a sense, it's like,
sheesh.
Which is why it's really important for you to truly get to know yourself. Yeah. You're going to see how powerful you are. Right? That for God to be like, okay, I'm willing to sacrifice my son, right, for you, because I know what you can do, because there's a thing I put inside you, right? So you are a creation of a Creator. Because you are a creation and you are still tied to Him, you have that unconditional love. Yeah. You do have that immense of peace, right? Again, He loved you so much that, whenever Lucifer was kicked out of heaven, right, he never went back. Jesus came and He died for us, and we still have that. So in a sense, like once you truly get to understand that you were chosen, right, you were created, you were crafted, right, that you came into this world with everything you were meant to use to accomplish your purpose. Yes. Right? And I feel like for that unconditional love, you do need you need to tap into that Creator source and feel that. Because to what we were talking about last time, maybe this individual, maybe a lot of people, they put on so many bodies, so many masks, so many, that they don't recognize themselves, and that's why they can't love themselves. Every single time that they peel one mask off, it's a whole different person that they see. So for them to truly get to who they are, it's almost like that picture of, or that little clip of this or this person just digging, looking for gold, and they got very close. They just needed one more dig to get to the gold, and they just gave up.
Yeah.
But so you buried yourself in so much other bodies and characteristics and masks that for you to truly get to see that you are loved, that you have unconditional love, there's a lot of work that you need to do. And I feel like what has lost now is that people don't want to put in the work. People don't want to put in the work, and that's result into them going into substance abuse and other things. And so but it's like it's truly that's whenever I hear about, and even we're talking about accepted, right? It's like we were accepted, right, before we were even, so it's like knowing what you are getting accepted into, or who's accepting you. This acceptance that you kind of, if it's from a conditional love, you're gonna have to do some. If you don't do this, you don't get this.
Yeah,
that's how Earth works, right? Or majority of it. Let me say that. You show me this, you do this. You do good at work, you get promotion, you get promoted, right? So it's like it's we live in the world of conditional.
Exactly.
Conditional.
Exactly.
So by the only way for you to fully get that unconditional love is by you tapping into your creator source and your spirit.
The fact that the unconditional love is for the creator it's such a captivating statement because he made you and he gave you his image. You don't know enough about you to not accept you.
That's so good.
100%. Because you
don't know what you're capable of.
You only met the conditions people placed on you. You haven't met yourself. Because I'm pretty sure the moments and times that you experienced that synergy of life when you are yourself, you felt yourself. You know what it meant in that moment to be like, wow, that's me. But the problem is you don't stay there long enough to explore what that means.
That's good.
Because once you're done experiencing that, you put the mask back on. But stay a little while.
Exactly. And which is why I say, like, the people who get so close to unconditional love is our parents.
Yeah.
Because they created you as well. For you to be here, they played into the creation of what the creator sets into place. For me to be here, these two individuals had to come together. So because of they also were part of this creation, they get so very close, to this unconditional love because you are from these two DNAs. So they, that's why I'm saying that they're the closest to unconditional love that we can get, right?
Yeah.
But we know so many people we know so many parents who have neglected their kids. We know so many, So it's like there's always conditional with people.
Yes.
It's always conditional, which is why, like, for somebody to truly love you unconditionally, maybe somebody needs to change my mind, but I don't think we can ever truly get a fully honest, authentic, truly unconditional love from a human being beside Jesus. Because, like, again, like he gave that unconditional love. And I think what we doing and what we're always trying to do is we're trying to be like him as best as we could. And I think the only thing that we could truly ever do is just like try to do your best. But I believe one of the key things, it's almost like there's like almost like a formula into anything. It's like if you move to a new city, right? There's always a process that you always want to, first you need to find your apartment, right? Or your house, and then you got to first know how the city operates, where all the stores are, where all this are. There's always things that it sets into place. So whenever we are growing up from kids, right, our parents are molding us into, our cultures and our traditions and our, and the environments. And then you get to a certain point where you start questioning things.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I know they taught me this, but like, that's kind of wrong. I don't know. So you start questioning things and you start navigating through life. And then that's you. That's where I feel like, you're looking for you. Mm-hmm. Right? You're now choosing, okay, this is what this is, so you're finding yourself and what you're good at. Your ability to start to kick in, right? You start discovering, oh, wow, like I'm a great writer, or like you're really very good at writing, but you just, or, oh, wow, like I'm a great speaker. It's like for somebody to get there, it's like you first have to dissect yourself, right? And truly get to, I guess, trying to learn yourself, right? Mm-hmm. And how can you learn yourself? It's like, is by using a manual, right, that the creator gave you about you. Mm-hmm. Like there is a manual. So it's like, use that. It's almost, if I want to know how this table, came to be, or how to put this thing together, how, if I want to take it apart, I can look at a manual and know exactly how to take apart all this.
Yeah.
So it's like, why don't we use that resource?
Have you ever been to IKEA?
No, but I've heard of IKEA.
Okay. The fact that you linked it to furniture really just kind of sparked my brain. Because the reason why people don't want to use the resource is because they hate the way it looks now. Mm. They'll buy this beautiful dresser from IKEA, but what IKEA does is it gives you the picture of what it looks like, but you have to put it together yourself.
That's good, yeah.
So they sit there, and a lot of people do this. You are a work of art, but you have to put it together yourself.
You have to put it together, yeah.
And what God does is he'll give you an image at times of the finished product. He'll give you the feelings of the finished product, but you still have to put it together yourself. So right now, if you were to close your eyes and imagine, you are furniture from IKEA. Yeah. And there's multiple steps. There's always a lot of tools and a lot of nails and pamphlets this thick of how to put everything together. And it's your job. Yeah. It's your job to now sit down and be patient and accept the process that this is something that I must do. And the beautiful thing about IKEA is they're aware that people like to lose screws and bolts, so they'll always give you a spare. That's fair. And that's God's grace. He'll always give you chances so that you can continue to build yourself. You can continue to make yourself. You can continue to tap in again and say, God, I don't know what I'm doing, but I know that you're good. And more than this, you've always been good to me. So therefore, Lord, I want to continue to try and see what you build me to give, not because I want to gain, but because I want to be what you created me to be. And the issue is that I was watching Instagram videos, so this is not my own, but I can't remember the author of the quote. You can be the most beautiful shade of green, right? But it means nothing to somebody that's colorblind.
That's facts.
You must know how to appreciate your shade of green. And the thing is, people are waiting for people to say, your shade of green is beautiful, for me now to accept it. But if they're colorblind, it can never be a conversation. So you're wasting your whole life waiting for a conversation that can never happen. Because they just can't see it. Yeah. So you now have to be the person to say, this is what I am. And I'm not looking for people to accept it. I'm just being it and believing that it's going to happen when it happens. So many artists have died with their work being unappreciated. But once they died, people said, this is a masterpiece.
The famous quote by Dr. Miles Monroe, he said the richest place in the world is the graveyard.
Graveyard, yeah.
So, no, like just hearing you saying that, it's like, kind of tying it back to, to the whole furniture thing. It's people, the word that came in my mind was pride, right? It's like, how many times that people, whenever they buy any technology or anything that has a manual.
Yeah. Because I do it too. I can't lie.
You get that thing, you're just like, I don't need this.
Yeah.
You know, some people like what? There was another. It was a sermon that Dr. Monroe was preaching, and he was talking about manufacturing, and he was saying how there's so many people who only know like maybe 2 functions of actually what this thing could do. Right? He said, you have a television, right? On that television, you get a remote. The remote probably has like 20 to 30 buttons, but you only know channel and volume. And
that's scary. That's very scary.
So you have, he kept giving different examples. He's like, you have a microwave. He said, you have a cell phone. So he was just like, he's like, people, we don't read the manufacturer's, letter. Like, and he gave an example of an iPhone, right? He's like, the people who created this, they always tells you, right, what this thing can actually do,
right,
and what things it can. And that also tells you if something goes wrong, what you yourself are able to fix,
yeah,
and what you're not able to fix.
This guy is good.
If you're not able, there's certain things that if you can't fix.
Yeah,
you gotta get this thing. You gotta send it back to Apple.
Yeah, so
they can fix it.
Yes, and be patient while they're fixing it. You have
to be patient.
Yes,
you gotta be phoneless. You have to be. You have to sit there. Sometimes they gotta take it for a couple of days.
You have to be aware you don't work for Apple.
You know what I mean? Because if you're trying to fix it yourself, you're gonna mess this whole thing up.
Sheesh.
Right. So it's like, I feel like with people, that's literally us, man. Like we are a society that always try to like, oh man, I got this, bro. Like I got this. I'm good. And so you're trying to fix the things that you are not able to fix.
Yeah.
Because you've never actually read a manual to your life on what you actually are capable of doing. Because if you go in there, you're going to see so many things within this booklet that comes up, right? That tells you, each step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, if you skip one, you're going to mess this whole thing up, right? It's not going to be as strong, right? It gives you the warranty, right? It gives you the guaranteed. There's all these things that are in here. So it's not really, it's not a coincidence.
Yeah.
That everything has a menu. Right? Like this thing was created like how I was created. There's a process that went into me being here. Right? Into us as humans to be here. So it's like reading the manual to your life. So you can know who you are. You can see what your body is capable of.
Right.
So you can actually be able to fully use all the other functions, right? Not just 2 functions, right? Use all of your other actually functions that you're able to do. I feel like which is why some people, tend to hone their talent and their gift, and they become great, right? Because they've practiced so much and they're able to like figure out who they are. That okay, I can do this. I'm actually able to do this. But it's like, there's something that, and I truly do believe everybody can get there. Everybody 1000%. Can truly, fully be successful in their own gifts.
Yes.
You can copy somebody else's gift and sure, but like for you to truly be fulfilled and be happy, no money will ever give that to you. I think it gets very close, but it will never give that to you.
Yeah.
But I think true fulfillment is once you figure out who you are and just like, oh, okay. Like, okay, I'm at peace. Okay. And then you can you see the world differently,
Some people, I love that phone analogy so much because some people throw away their iPhones because it won't perform like an Android. Some people throw away their Androids because it doesn't function. It's not as simple as an iPhone. The thing about it is, you are designed for a reason. And there are certain things that because you're not the manufacturer of yourself, like you were saying, you can't fix. So you need to trust that the manufacturer, when you send it back, and that's you praying.
Yes.
When you send it up, he'll take care of it because he knows the capacity of it.
Yeah.
Man, I wanted to go back to that part that you said, the remote control has multiple functions, but we focus on 2 buttons. Tying that into your life, that is very scary because you have so much capacity and yet you only notice 2 things.
2 things, exactly. Yeah.
And the reason why you only notice 2 things is because you're an iPhone trying to be an Android. But there are certain restrictions, you know? And you're hating yourself because you can't perform like an Android, not understanding that there's a restriction. This is not your lane. And if you would only surrender to your lane, you would accept yourself because you would know yourself, you know?
100%. It's like, it's the whole art of, like, us never fully get to, like, be patient enough, right, to finish reading this, you know, thing. Or in the sense of, like, what I can say, it's like, I mean, people are not very patient.
No.
We just want things quick, you know, trying to get out of here. But in a sense of, like, kind of staying to that of, like, you know, we always maybe only using 2 functions, right, to 100 functions that we're able to do, right? Tapping into your mental, right? Tapping into your spirit, tapping literally into everything that who you are. I always tell people, I'm like, the best thing you can ever do is grab a book and read. Right? Just grab a book and read. Because information, right? So it's like, by you teaching yourself this art of obtaining information and reading information, it unlocks a whole lot in your mind. Because you learn, right? How do we think all these things get invented, right? It's like, these are very smart individuals, right, who put their brains together, right, and be like, okay, I need to create a microphone, right? Like this thing that we're using. But somebody thought about this and then now it's here, right? And so, reading is the number one thing that I feel like that will help any individual. Grab a book and read. Find the book that are interesting to you and read, you know, because information truly comes a long way. And it helps you a whole lot. But if you go your entire life without reading and all you're doing is just like hearing from people what they're saying, you know, you're never truly going to understand the baseline of, you know, actually a whole lot of anything in terms of a whole lot of foundation. So it's like, that's why, like, you know, that's one of the things I feel like my parents was very big on us was read a book. Read a book, you know, because there's so much information out there that you just need to literally, you know, go and find it. That's going to teach you about who you are.
Right.
Like, can help you to understand about who you are, you know?
What's that process? Like, if I'm reading somebody else's thoughts, their perceptions, their understanding, how do I now assimilate that within myself to find myself?
Because you're going to see the system of which this person broke down, how they navigated their life, right? You're going to see like, oh, whoa, there's not just volume and channel button, you know, there's this other inputs button, there's all these other, okay. So it's going to show you the fully depth of where you were stuck.
Okay.
Right, because I feel like every single person, they're always at a point where they're stuck. They're like, dude, there's a wall here. I literally can't go anywhere, right? Somebody comes like, oh, yeah, see behind the thing, there's a hammer. You can just knock the wall down and keep going. You know, so it's like, there's always reading books always shows you where this person, how they overcame this barrier, right? This is what they use to overcome this. You have it as well. You don't need to get the other person's weapon, let me call it that, what they use to overcome this thing. Grab your weapon. We have a bags and an immense of tools, right? That we've never actually used, right? Because we don't know we have them, right? So it's like what that book does. It shows you, hey, like you have all these other, you have all these tools that you can use. You're just like, oh, I didn't know I could use that, Like that's literally what that is. That's what a book is. It gives you information. It unlocks information in your brain where you're just like, oh, I didn't know. Because if you think about it, whenever you read a book, right, and you just like, and you learn something for the first time, the art of learning, it's always very interesting to me. I'm like, okay, well, I'm reading this book and he's teaching me this thing, and I'm just like, oh, and you just understand it, right? So by you understanding it, that means there was always something inside you that can understand anything.
I find that for me, a practical way that I do it, or I'm learning to do it, is having genuine conversations with myself.
Okay.
I find a lot of people, they talk to themselves in commands, not in conversation. I should have done that, or I'm dumb, or I can't function. And then because that's how they talk to themselves, they have to escape themselves. When you learn how to unpack a situation with your mind, you're not coddling yourself. You're not going to tell yourself, oh my gosh, I'm a victim, or it's not going to be like, I can't, for instance, let's say you want to do a public speaking engagement at your job, like you had to lead a seminar or you had to lead an event. You stuttered, you didn't know how to follow up with a thought because somebody asked you a question that you couldn't predict, or just in general, they intimidated you because there was a CEO in the room. And so you got very nervous and you couldn't really present to the best of your capability. Two questions that also I learned from Instagram. I swear I'm not on Instagram all the time. But what did you like? What did you learn and what did you love? So you ask yourself, what did I love about this? I love that I showed up. There's a CEO in the room, and I spoke to that whole room. I stood in front of that place, I created my own PowerPoint, and I was able to present this information to the room. I can accept that about myself. I can do hard things. What did I learn? I learned that I need to do more mental exercises around things I can't predict. I need to do more exercises around dealing with people in authority and how I perceive they look at me. Not that it's a bad thing, I just need to get more comfortable in that realm. Okay, how do I do this? Well, Maru, it's gonna involve more public speaking seminars. Maybe even inviting that CEO out for a lunch. It's a shot in the dark. Maybe he'll say yes, maybe he'll say no. Or maybe I'll start with my boss. But just getting more around people with that level of authority and making myself comfortable with it, I can learn how to do that. But when you're able to walk yourself through it, you automatically gain a degree of acceptance because you're giving yourself to the situation now. And you're not trying to gain anything. You're just learning who you are. You're being yourself, right? And that devolves into acceptance. And the beautiful thing about that is when you now get into a relationship, you learn to give that without the need to gain it because you're unconditionally accepting yourself already. So my conditions here is that I'm just offering you a life of giving.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing, okay, are you just here to gain?
Yeah.
You know, but you can detect that. The problem is when I don't have that relationship with myself, people's conditions become my benchmark for love.
Okay.
You know, and I have to just continually change myself into whatever I think they want me to be. And I can never really be myself. Your body keeps a score. Your mind keeps a score. Your mind knows, Maru, you've never been present for 5 years. Let me go drink. I hate that. You know, I don't want to think about that. So I'll go drink. Okay, when you sober up, Maru, you've never been present for 6 years. So discover, and not discovery, what did you learn? And what did you love?
Yeah. I mean, it's also the thing of what you master, you're going to teach your kids. Or, you know, what you master, you're going to teach, you know, whoever that you are mentoring, right? So it's like, and the more that you are doing something and not realizing you're doing it, another version of you is mastering that skill.
Yeah.
And what that does, that overtakes you, these other, you know, this other abilities of yours. So, you know, and which is why so many people have become expert into damage control, right? They become masters into masters of, you know, not feeling like they deserve unconditional love, right? Because of what they chose to master, right? Who they chose to learn it from. So I feel like the worst thing that a person can ever do is like getting to like a long way in their life, right? And then having to like regret, right, of what they should have done. Because like, there's always these things in our mind that comes. Like there's a voice that always tells you. There's always a voice. We ignore it, but there's always a voice that notifies you. There's always a notification bell in your mind that goes, hey. I really think we should be doing this. You know, like, hey, there's always like your body feels and it shifts.
Yeah.
So the more you ignore it, you know, the more you tell it, hey, that truly reject it, because you do have that power of will to reject it. And I feel like most people do it without realizing what they're doing. And so you came into this world alone, you will leave this world alone. I think that's a very key thing to focus on, right? So it's like within that time frame, within this 100 years that you're here, right? 100 human years that you're here, from the time you were born until the time you die, what you do in between really matters. And what you do in between, in my opinion, I feel like carries into where your next, you know, where your next, you know, life is, and what you're going to be doing there. And so if you, where you are now, if you're a young adult, if you're a youth, if you're a parent, if you are, you know, a grown, you know, the grandpa, it's like, I think the key thing I feel like we should all need to focus on is, you know, the 5 questions: who you are, do you know who you are, do you know do you know where you're from, right? Do you know your purpose? You know, why are you here, right? And have you done everything you possibly could, right? I feel like those 4 questions are the question that every single person, regardless of their age, you know, should be asking. If you don't know, ask somebody. Read a book. Read the Bible. But I think like it's really important it's really sad that, you know, that you've always lived as a person without an identity, but that has an identity, right? And so it's like, how do you find your identity, right? In the world that does so much, does so well into masking, you know, they don't want you to be yourself.
I know.
The world does not want you to be yourself because you're a threat if you find out what you actually can do, right? Because of knowing that what was sacrificed for you to live the life that you're living, right? And I feel like that's the part that we are very spoiled in. It's not, we always forget about the sacrifices that people have done for us. Whether that's, I mean, the biggest of them all being, Christ. And so we feel like, oh, I can live my life and do whatever I want to do. But it's like, no, it's like, hey, he gave his life so you can, so you can really live yours in the way that you were meant, that you were created to live your life. Were you going to be tempted? 100%. Are you gonna feel stressed? Yes, these things are not gonna go away.
Yeah.
I don't know why people think like one day they can just wake up and like, oh, I'm not depressed. I'm not. No, you are still going to be tempted by these things. You're going to feel these things. You're going to, experience these things. But I think the thing is like knowing that they don't hold the power that they do. That's why you hear people say, oh no, I'm out of. I don't deal with anxiety anymore or with depression anymore. That's what that really truly means. It's like when anxiety comes, this person is powerful enough to be like, no, you have no jurisdiction here. No, I'm good. Because they went through a major fight, right, to fight this thing, right? And so it's like, but they also had to know themselves and they accepted themselves.
Right.
I feel like there's a key thing that we need to touch on as well.
Sure.
There's people who accept the false identity of themselves. And they say, hey, listen, I've accepted myself, but I'm keep hurting. I've accepted, and they just like, oh, I've accepted that I'm not worthy. I'm like, no, that's careful. It's like, so also while you are accepting, which is why we're saying like, who you are seeking validation from.
Right.
Is who's going to give that to you. Right. So if I'm seeking validation from God, I'm going to get, if I'm seeking validation from a good friend, so like who you are seeking validation from is, they're going to give that to you. So if you keep allowing yourself to, to accept these negative things in your life, then that's why your life it is the way it is.
Yeah.
But can you change that? Yeah, I do believe 100%. But I think it is what we're talking about into starting the process of self-acceptance and self-love, because we don't practice that enough.
You have the ability to decide what you accept.
That's good, yeah.
But that ability only matters if you're the one deciding. Not using a proxy to decide for you. And what that means is I only accept this if they accept this. The problem that I see is the world shouldn't like you. It can. That'd be nice. Yeah. But it shouldn't. Because it can't see you. Only you can see you. Same way, it's like I'm super excited explaining to you as well, like a business proposition that I'm thinking about. And I'm ecstatic, but I'm looking at you and you're like, okay. I'm like, why aren't you excited? You're like, I'm hearing you. But that's the thing. Yeah. I'm hearing what you're telling me.
Yeah.
I can't see what you see. Right? You're the only one that carries a vision of your identity.
That's good, yeah.
So if the world accepts you or not, if they decide to accept you, they're betting that what you're displaying is true. But they can't confirm it nor deny it. Only you can tell me what you've seen. Even when we're thinking about just the art of becoming. Well, you're only becoming what you've seen.
What you've experienced.
What you've experienced. But not only what you experienced, what you've assimilated into a decision, right? Because I can experience being around people going to the gym, but if I don't assimilate that into myself and say, I want to make a decision to go to the gym, that experience just becomes data. And that data becomes cataloged. Until now, I use it for my purpose. And that's the same thing with reading. What I find is you should wrestle with everything you learn. What I mean by wrestle is, what do I think about what I'm reading? So that I'm not now just a reflection of the author's image. I'm now a reflection of my own, including God, right?
Yes.
But I'm a reflection of what this means to me, not what I believe they want me to be when I read this, or what they want me to be when I hear this. Because a lot of people, they're so scared to be themselves that anything that they hear, they try to become.
Yeah, it's what the world has. The world has done such a great job into destroying your image.
Yeah,
that's literally from the beginning of time. Was even if you look at the whole Adam and Eve story, right? It's like the devil coming into play, the serpent coming into play was to destroy to distract them and their image, right? It's like it showed them or he gave them hey, he lied to them. This is actually who you could be. But God has always said, hey, this is who you are. Right? But even who you are as well comes with a certain boundaries that you can't cross. Right? So that believing, which is why it's always tied into our parents. When we're kids, I always say, hey, don't do this. Right? Don't do that. Because they know better than we do.
Yeah.
They know if you go over there, eventually you're gonna fall. Right? This isn't gonna happen to you. Right? So it's like from the beginning of time, there's always from the serpent to society to the world has, they don't want you to fully embrace your full image, who you actually are.
Not at all.
So what they're gonna do, they're gonna put from medias to, because that's what you watch. From the thing that you watch to the clothes that we wear to where we were, every single part of our lives, they're going to distract you as much as they could. They're going to show you and portray this is what a perfect man looks like.
Yeah.
This is what a perfect woman looks like, right? So society has done such a great job into putting all this, and it's so smart. They put the suggestions too.
Of course.
And at the end of the day, you do the picking.
Yeah.
I was telling my friend the other day, I was just like, hey, because he was talking about AI. I'm like, I don't know if you noticed, but AI it gives you suggestions. You choose the information and whatever you do with it.
And you choose where to stop.
What you know what I mean? And
yeah.
So just like you go to ChatGPT and you not just discover that it's ChatGPT, not ChatGPT. Anyways, it's a whole,
okay.
Anyway, but you go to ChatGPT and you put a prompt, right? You put a prompt. Oh, I want to open up a trust, right? And he goes, okay, this is what a trust is. This is, I feel like, where you should. It gives you suggestions,
right?
Right. But if all you ever do is actually going to take this AI as okay, this is what I'm going to do. It doesn't it gives you, hey, this is just my suggestions, but you can go also look somewhere else. Make sure what's in front of you, right, actually is meant to be there.
In front of you.
Yes, in front of you is meant to be there.
Yeah.
Right, because we just want to choose and get out the way. But that from, I don't want to get into politics, but but it's, everything was always, as a society, everything was always decided for us. The choice we're making a choice from what somebody else. We're making a choice based off of a choice somebody else made. So either way, you're going to be effed. Either way, you're going to be screwed. Because this society is giving you these things. You were never in their plan to succeed. Right? So they're going to put different choice in front of you that looks good, but every single one of them was meant for you to fail. That just looks different. That's what society is. So it's not until, right, which you always run back to the Father, Because he only wants good things for you. Period.
Amen.
That is the only person, right? That is the only being who is guaranteeing you good things. So it's like, because anything God puts in front of you, it's good for you. Right? He knows that you need these things at this time. And depending on what you're going through, it might be difficult. And it's like you say, oh, the devil's not doing anything. This is what deconstructing looks like, right? When God is truly trying to clean you and cleanse you, like that's what it looks like. It hurts. You go through some things. That's not the devil. And you call it the devil because you don't recognize the God's voice. That's a whole different topic we can get into. But it's like, people think like they're being done, they're being, the devil's doing this, the devil's doing this, the devil's doing this. It's like, listen, man, you actually never really heard God's voice.
Does acceptance feel good? Because you said something really powerful now, like there's a pain there. Mm-hmm. So does acceptance feel good? Always?
Not always. I think the overall, it's a process, right? For you to truly fully embrace and feel and be in abundance with, with this, you need to know what it comes. There's always a sacrifice that comes with it.
What do you mean by that?
There's always something that you need to sacrifice. Whether you're accepting something that's good for you or bad for you, you're always going to sacrifice yourself. Right? It's like if it's acceptance from God, which God already accepts you, if it's acceptance from God that you're seeking, right? God's going to say, hey, you are not clean. You can come into my house that way. My son is right there. Believe, you can come in here through him.
When he says you're not clean, what do you think he means by that?
You are carrying all this worldly images that was never meant for you. And you're trying to bring it into, God's house. So, okay, let me now talk biblically. So you basically, you're trying to bring all these other extra weight and masks, right, into this person or thing that you're trying to accept you. And this person saying, hey, listen, you first need to take that off. You're trying to come to my house, I have a set of rules. I have a set of standards, right? You need to take your shoes off, right? Don't put your foot on my table. Be respectful, right? So you need to now start omitting, right, and letting go of all these other habits of like, oh, okay, well, if I'm trying to go into a sports house, okay, I need to take off my shoes. Okay, accepting you need to take off your shoes. It's not comfortable. Maybe you're not comfortable just being barefooted, or just being in your socks. That's what I mean by that. So in the same thing with whenever I'm talking about God, it's like you will have to sacrifice yourself or your old self.
Yeah.
So you can be naked again.
Yeah.
Right? And then, start walking this, cleansed life. So in the sense of like anything that you're trying to get acceptance from, you always have to sacrifice something, and that's what that hurts.
It's very interesting. From that, I gather, in order for me to meet me, I must be me. And there are things that, in order to accept ourselves, we need to be comfortable giving ourselves exposure in the sense that I need to be able to sit down with myself, not as who I think they want me to be. Because a lot of times that's what we bring to the table. Yeah. You're like, oh yeah, I have a relationship with myself. Okay. Yeah, I tell myself I have to make this. I tell myself I gotta be this fit. And this is all noble pursuits, right? But why? What's the reasoning? What's the driving force? Because a lot of times people are great, and the greatness they display benefits the world, but it doesn't benefit them. And that's how you have successful people leaving this earth prematurely because they can't stay with themselves enough. To meet you, you must be you.
You have to be you, and you have to. It's a whole thing. You know, it's like you gonna come to find out that like you are always beside yourself this entire time, right? Just gonna be like, oh, you were here all along, right? Just like, well, I'm attached to you, so it's like,
yeah,
you know, like you. It's like, man, like, dude, I've been looking for you, bro. Just like I've been here. Just like whenever I was trying to actually say hi, you've always ignored me.
Yeah.
So it's like you don't even know your own voice.
And that's why, oh my gosh, you don't know your own voice, so you're underperforming as yourself because you're performing as somebody you're not. And your voice is telling you, this is not you.
Yeah.
Like you were saying, there's always a guiding voice that's saying, hey, stop doing that. That's not you. The reason you're doing this, it's better you just stop.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good analogy you're saying about coming to God's house, right? And he's saying, you're not clean. Meaning, this is not you.
Yeah, that's not you.
The person that's coming into my house, I called Espoir. Why is Jeremy coming here? I called Espoir. Why is Adam coming here? No.
Yeah.
Let me see Espoir.
Yeah.
This is who I'm calling. But when you're underperforming as yourself, you don't know how to value what God has given you.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah,
you know? And so you live your life in somebody else's shoes.
Yeah.
And the thing is, sometimes the shoes are too big, sometimes they're too small. But either way, you're walking awkwardly.
There's a lot of like abandoned warehouses and offices because people chose to go do somebody else's work.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, it's like every single one of us is different. Even twins are different.